Our guest speaker this evening was born and raised in New Haven. He graduated from Wilbercross High. He was one who always had lots of friends and a head for business, even as a young boy. He had a large following of friends, and he motivated his friends who seemed to be fascinated by the things he could do. He developed a real friendship with Willie C., and Willie C. became his mentor and friend. And he's still very close to Willie C. He moved to Norfolk, Virginia. He is married to Joy, and he is the proud father of two very cute little boys. Joe Brown is the son of Bill and Gloria Brown and the brother of Michelle Bosley. Joe was raised in tough surroundings. Joe became a businessman. You know, while I'm struggling through this, I'm really struggling through this because the print is small and even with my glasses, I can't see it. I'd love to continue.
There we go.
There you go.
Here we go, all right. Raised in tough surroundings, Joe became a businessman, a community leader, a mentor, a motivational speaker, and author of Rich House, Poor House, The Psychology of Successful Real Estate Investing. Joe's story of always rising above life's adversities with self-accountability is a popular message he delivers in his powerful presentations. In this country's real estate crises, Joe's expertise and resourceful book is exactly what most of us need. He has presented and testified to the Senate and has spoken to many corporations on how to increase productivity with better labor management relations. As an international sports marketing consultant, he has worked with athletes, celebrities worldwide, such as Alonzo Mourning, Kenny Anderson, and Chris Gatling. He worked with me. He also founded and served as executive director of the Citizens Opposing Profiled Police Stops, an organization founded to eradicate police profiling. COPPS was featured in U.S. News and World Report, the New York Times, and also recognized by the Clinton White House. In board of directors grace such notables as Andrew Young, Johnny...
This evening, my good friend, Joseph Brown, Jr.
Good evening, how are you? That's what I'm talking about. Two beautiful women giving me an introduction. Occasion, and I hope all of you can hear me. It's a privilege and a pleasure being raised here. I want to give a little credit first to my father, my uncles, my sister. I've been in Virginia Beach and Norfolk area for 25 years or so. And while I've been there, of course I haven't been here 20 years, but I've been hearing about it for 20 years from Carol. And it's a pleasure to be here. And those of you who know Carol, you've heard her introduction. She really needs no introduction. And people in Virginia and the South say, you're going up north to speak. People up north have an attitude. And I said, no, they don't. But knowing Carol and how meticulous she is, representing her, I wanted to make sure I had everything right. So as good speakers do, and I followed the suit, before they come speak, they go in the private room and go somewhere to gather their thoughts and get themselves. It came back to me what this woman said about people up north having an attitude. So I looked back at her, and after a while, she said, how are you? She said, well, you must be nervous. I said, nervous, ma'am? I've spoken all over this world, crisscrossed this country and internationally as well. Why in the world would you think I'm nervous? She said, because you're in the ladies' room. You can remain humble. And, you know, it's said that elephants work for peanuts and people work for recognition. And I want to give a little credit and honor to the people who are getting recognized tonight, for the politicians who have graced the microphone, and also Carol. Anytime you can do anything for 23 years consistently, in an era when consistency is so hard to have, just to do anything, but to get people to come out publicly, it's an amazing feat. It's said that every truth goes through 3 stages. And the first stage is the ridicule stage. So when she said, I'm going to get this coalition to come together and get politicians and community activists you know what happens. The first stage is ridicule. They say, Carol, I know that. And as you persist, the second stage is the stage of violent opposition. Well, you can't do that. And then the third stage, if you persist, is the stage of self-evident, when it becomes self-evident. And so, please, without further ado, I want to tell a story in reference to Carol and to all the honorees who are here, but particularly Carol for having such consistency in this time. It's a story about, I'm going to grab this microphone. It's a story about, and they were giving out who was a powerful speaker and actor, and he gave this powerful rendition of the 23rd song. And people stood up and cheered for 5 minutes. Then, to end the convention, they said, we're going to bring a 90-year-old man here, and he too will close the convention. And he took his time up. And as he got to the microphone, very quietly and very slowly, he gave a rendition of the 23rd song as well. And when he was finished, you couldn't hear anything. You could hear anything, a pin drop. And after it was over, they went up to the old man, and they said, what a powerful rendition. And they asked him, this actor, they said, well, you're an actor, you're a speaker. What was the difference between your rendition of the 23rd song and the old man's rendition? He said, well, I know the song, but the old man knows the shepherd. And when it comes to public activity, well, those of us here may know songs, but Carol knows the shepherd. So please give her a round of applause for doing this. You know, it is Black History Month, and we absolutely, with Mr. Obama being president and winning the presidency in historic ways, I thought it would be only fitting to share this, as my wife is an educator and as I find it. This is the first day of school is running off her message. Please raise your hand if you're present. Obama Taylor, Barack Thomas, Obama Leader Jackson, Michelle Womack, Baraka Washington, Michelle Stanley, Kabama Corbin, Obama Lama Hicks, Michelle Reed, Trayvama Nichols, Lasha Obama Barnes, and LaBama Robinson. We can all see that happen, can't we? That's it. You know, as we move on, the message of tonight is pass it on. And as I stand here today and I begin to give you a little message that I'll attempt to be brief at, I have been the recipient of people passing on things all my life. And a lot of that message comes through today. And I wanted to say something and phrases that really make sense and make a change in your life. And it's a phrase that I've remembered since I was about 16 years old. It just did something to me when I read it. And it says, a life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. I'll say it again. A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. That's very, very important. And as we discussed tonight, passing it on, I wanted to share with you some of what most people miss and often overlook. If you were to ask somebody, what's the most important part of a car? Well, the top answer is, well, the engine. And keep in mind that the mission is to move, to get the car to move. And the second answer is, well, the transmission. Until finally, the proper answer came. If you are attempting to move in a car, the most important part of that car is the part that's missing. You can't go anywhere without the battery. Can't go anywhere without a tire. You can't go anywhere without a smallest fuse to stop you. And as we are gathered here and people are here, my objective and your objective should be to attempt to see what part is missing from us. What part is missing from the community. What part is missing from any organization that you can help. And when Carol asked 1% of our population, but they are 100% of our future. And we need to make sure that we pay attention. Because it wasn't long ago I was in high school. Well, 20 years ago, but I was a high school student like some of the recipients. Then I went to college, of course, now as a businessman, an author, and parent. And of all the things that really changed my life was setting goals. And so when I thought about the theme, pass it on, I wanted to talk about what maybe I would pass on to the recipients. And not only the recipients, because when you pass it on, as I spoke to Carol, and you read her paragraph, it's very important that if you're in position and you're the Attorney General and you have an important position in business, that you reach back once you have that position and you pass on whatever influence or affluence that you have. That doesn't happen enough in our community. And we really need to do that, particularly in the black community. That crab in the bucket mentality should be leaving us now. As my two sons and I went to the inauguration and weathered that ridiculous cold where I couldn't even feel my feet, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. Only imagine now the young men and women waking up and for the first time, without knowing any history, seeing a black man as president. That's unbelievable. It truly is unbelievable. So I wanted to talk about setting goals. And why goals? Goals give you vision. They allow you to see the end right now. Vision is very important. The Bible says where there's no vision, the people perish. And mastering this unique process can have a powerful effect on you too. One day at age 19 or 20 or so, a mentor asked me, "Joe, let me see your list of goals." I said, "I don't have a list." He said, "Well, is it in the car or is it at home?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't have a list anywhere." Then he added, "If you don't have a list of goals written down, I can probably guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did drastically. That moment I became a student of how to set goals. Sure enough, when I learned how, my entire life changed. My income, my bank account, my personality, my lifestyle, and my accomplishments. So in the spirit of passing it on, I'd like to share with you the best that I've learned in practice on goal setting. We live in some very interesting times. The real estate crisis, which my book is about, the credit crunch, the banking crisis, the auto industry meltdown. We could go on and on. 50 million Americans without health care. 20 million Americans unemployed or so, depending on who you count. Millions of Americans unemployed with college degrees, PhDs, and middle management experience. With all of this kind of information out there, there's a great deal of fear and discontent prevalent. And while this fear and discontent is prevalent, how will we look forward to the future with optimism? Because fear can stop you cold. Patrick Swayze said it best. He said, fear causes hesitation, and hesitation causes your greatest fear to come true. So there's a story of a prisoner who was captured behind enemy lines. And when they captured this prisoner, the captain walked up to this prisoner and he said, "Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock you will die by firing squad. Or you have an alternative. There's a door here. You can walk out that door." Of course, the prisoner was curious. He said, "What is behind the door?" He said, "I can't tell you what's behind the door, but I can tell you that that door hides unknown horrors." And he walked away. They came back to the prisoner. He chose the firing squad. He figured, at least I know it'll be painless, short, quick, get it over with. After the shots rang out and they carried the prisoner's body away, the captain's secretary said, "Captain, what is behind that door? All of these prisoners, you give an ultimatum and they all choose certain death." The captain laughed and said, "Freedom. But very few would select it because of the fear of the unknown." So we can no longer allow fear of unknown heavens to stop you from attempting to do something, to stop you from attempting to have an event for 25 years strong, to have all these celebrities and politicians here. And I'm sure we'll go on for 25 more, because in an era like this, we need to dig in and do more, not less. We need to tighten up, not lighten up. And so I will be the first one to dig in my pocket, even though the pockets have lint in it, to make sure that I give Carol more. We talked and I said, "Carol," she said, "how can I get the event to do better? I want to raise more money." I said, "Carol, charge double." She said, "But the economy charge double." Listen, either you're on the way or you're in the way. Period. So if she charges double, we only need a half of the room to come. You can rent a smaller room. I mean, it's time to step up and raise our expectations. It's very important. So those are the odds we're looking at. You heard the comptroller talk about seeing red. How will you face the future with optimism? You'll do it the way a kid born to an unwed teenage mom on welfare who didn't know his father, had a funny name, big ears, and became president of the United States. He set goals. And you should set goals. First off, we're affected by 5 factors. The 5 factors are the environment, events, knowledge, the results that we have. And the 5th, and in my opinion, most important, is the view of the future, our dreams. I won't get into all these influences here, but I will concentrate on the 5th, your dreams. Of all these 5 factors, make sure that your dreams are the greatest influence on your daily decisions and activities. Put another way, make sure that the greatest pull on you is the pull of the future. For your dreams to greatly influence you, for the future to pull you, your future must be well planned. To design your future, you must have goals. Well-defined goals are like magnets. They'll pull you in their direction. And the better you define them, describe them, the harder you work on them, the stronger they'll pull. And they pull you through all kinds of adversity as well. For those of you who think, yeah, that sounds good, but I can't waste time setting goals. That's the person who's behind in a mortgage. They might be facing foreclosure. Maybe you're bankrupt, or maybe there's a divorce, bad credit, massive debt. I'll share something real quick about adversity. In 1997 or so, when I founded the organization COPS, an organization that tried to eradicate racial profiling, one of my mentors was the late, great Dr. Shannon, who was the past president of Harvard Theological School and president of Virginia Union. He assisted me, and we went on to do many things. We assembled an all-star group. But he told me, he said, you know, the reason why I'm supporting you and the reason why I'm calling others like Doug Wilder and Andrew Young and former ambassador is because years ago, a young preacher moved on. And he handed me a handwritten letter. He said, this is the letter that that young preacher wrote me. It was a letter from Martin Luther King. He turned him down. He said, I'll never turn down another person who's trying to change or do something. And so I have that handwritten letter. And things like that are the things that, how we get impacted by passing things on. The theme of this evening. It's not something to take lightly. It's not something to joke about. So, you know, as I did this, he said, I want to show you also that, you know, you're going to have some repercussions about this, about addressing these things. It's going to affect you. And years later, I was driving along and I got pulled over. And agitated cop, you know, being a William Brown or Joe Brown, that name is everywhere. It's happened to my father, who was a past cop, etc. But this particular time, they wanted to know if I had a scar on my nose. Did I have a tattoo? Where was I? Can I get out of the car? And they showed me pictures. It hauled me off, took me to jail. And after being there, I said, it's not me. I've never even been arrested of breach of peace. He said, hold on one second. The magistrate returned to his computer and up popped the picture. Is this you? It was me. I said, it sure is. He said, get comfortable. You're not going anywhere. Well, I made a decision right there that moment, no matter what, not to get bitter, but to get better and to keep on moving. And it was a goal right then. I said, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do this. And I started smiling because, see, goals in your mind can escape you from any situation that you're in. Any situation. It might seem dire, but it's not. Barack Obama gave a speech at the Democratic Convention. It was the speech that put him on the map. Everybody makes notice of that speech, but no one talks about after he gave that speech, when he went to the airport to get home, his credit card got denied. He didn't even have enough money to get back from that convention. He had to call someone, and they had to give him a check so he could get back from that convention. It was only several years ago. Now he's the president. The audacity of hope. That's what we're facing. That's what we have to pass on. And without goals, it's easy to let life deteriorate to the point where you're just making a living. It's not difficult to settle for existence rather than substance. You'll talk to people and you say, how you doing? And they'll say, well, I don't know. I'm okay. Clearly that can't motivate you or get you past adversity or move you on. And so setting goals will help you get past adversity, like the economy that we're in. We all have a choice. We can make a living, or we can design a life. The choice is yours. And goals allow you to design a life and prepare for the worst while working on the better future. Life has a strange way of hiding all answers, disclosing them only to people who have inspired to look for them. Put another way, when you know what you want, and you want it badly enough, you'll find a way to get it. One mentor told me to set a goal to become $1 million. He said, and I'm going to tell you why. I said, now this man doesn't have to tell me why to set a goal for $1 million. I thought about it. The homes and the cars and all the lifestyle changes that $1 million could do for you. And he said, that's not why. I said, it's not? No, that's not why. And I had one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and I'm going to share it with you. This one little precious jewel of wisdom is worth the price of being here tonight, whether you gave money, time, or both. He said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. Set a goal for what it will make of you to achieve it. That's a very different purpose. Set a goal that will make you stretch. And I got one of the greatest lessons in one sentence I ever received in my life. To see what it will make of you to achieve it. What a brand new reason for setting goals. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future. You see, humans are like rubber bands. We don't begin to grow until we stretch ourselves, until we become uncomfortable. Success is based on inconvenience. It's based on uncomfortable feelings. That's what success is about. You can't make success without making real enemies. You can't hold a strong position without strong and continued opposition. A useful life can't be entirely peaceful and carefree. You must do your duty as you see it. The wider you go and the further you reach, the more to which you increase the points of contact, which you must reckon. Multiplying your battles against jealousy and envy, malice and misconceit. The more you try, others will vie, and the more you aspire, others will conspire. You'll have jealousy to face at every place and at every pace, but as long as your conscience isn't ashamed to acknowledge yourself as your friend, continue moving right until the end. But most of all, pay no mind to the jealous and negative, toxic energy drainers who might call themselves family and friends. Major question to ask yourself, high school recipients, college recipients, and adult recipients, because now you no longer can really have one job or career. You not only change jobs, but you change careers now. Multiple times. The major question to ask is not what I'm getting here. That's the wrong perception, the wrong vision. The major question to ask is what am I becoming here? You have to have more vision. The late, great Helen Keller was born blind and deaf, but left the world precious jewels of wisdom when she said, worse than being born blind is to be born able to see yet still have no vision. Very, very important. Remember, a life is not important, except in the impact it has on all the lives. In closing, of the topic of goal setting for what you can become, I want to warn, beware, don't set your goals too low. A poem says, I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged that evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is a just employer. It pays you what you ask. But once you set the wages, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that whatever wage I would have asked of life, life would have willingly paid. Don't set your goals too low. Very, very important. Don't join the easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the demands are high. Go where the pressure's on to perform, to grow, to change, to read, to study, to develop skills for what it will make of you to achieve them. Insist that you not remain the same for the next 5, 10 years. And for those of us who are in our 30s or 40s or 50s, it's never too late to be what you might have been. Sam Walton started Walmart at age 52. He was broke and ended up becoming one of the richest men in the world. You know, I'm just getting started here. I could go on for 3 or 4 hours. But this is a team event, and I'm a team player. So in closing, remember, to make the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. That someone else's label or opinion of you never has to become your reality. That you can never stand so tall as to when you bend the knee to help someone else. that life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. And lastly, I beg you to commit yourself to growth and development. Until one is committed, there's hesitancy, a chance to draw back. Always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there's one elementary truth. The ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits oneself, then and only then, providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. Issues raising from the decision to commit, that turn all matter of unforeseen incidents and meetings and material assistance your way. Whatever you do in life, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic. Commit yourself to yourself, and commit now. Thank you very much.
Excellent job, Mr. Brown. And you know, if you went 3 or 4 hours, it wouldn't be the first time in this dinner that we've had somebody go through. Carol, as you know, many times we've started this dinner on a February 26th and ended on a February 27th. But this year, we're going to try to move it along.